not publicly or officially. The U.S. appears to be mostly in advisory mode here to help the 276 girls kidnapped by the Islamist terror group Boko Haram. President Obama at an event last night seemed to lament that he can't snap his fingers and get these girls home.
When there are times in which I want to reach out and save those kids, and am having to think through what levers, what power do we have at any given moment, I think drop by drop by drop that we can erode and wear down these forces that are so destructive, that we can tell a different story.
The First Lady also joining the international outcry to rescue these girls. She posted this photo of herself on Twitter last night with the message, "Our prayers are with the missing Nigerian girls and their families. It's time to #bring back our girls." Nigeria asked for U.S. help only in recent days, even though Boko Haram took many of these girls more than 3 weeks ago. Let's bring our own Aisha Sise standing by live in Nigeria's capital. Aisha, good to see you as always. Just as help from the U.S. is arriving, it seems like finding all these girls just got a lot harder.
Absolutely, Jake. There is no doubt about it. A senior U.S. official telling CNN that U.S. intelligence believes that the girls could have been broken up into smaller groups, according to some reporting we're hearing, into groups of maybe 7 or 8. And I want to put this information in context for our viewers. You have to understand that the borders with neighboring countries in that region in the northeast, which is where this attack took place, the borders to Chad, Cameroon, Niger are extremely porous. So it is very easy to slip across back and forth those borders and to move these girls out of Nigeria and into one of those places. Jake, I was just speaking to someone that's actually mediated on behalf of the Nigerian government about this issue and moving the girls. You know, could they be here? Could they be elsewhere? He made a very interesting point to me that I think is worth putting out there for our viewers. Abu Bakr Shekau, according to this man, belongs to an ethnic group which has many other members in these various countries, in Cameroon, Chad, Niger. So his point was they could indeed have moved these girls to these places because they're supporters of Shekau, people who belong to his same ethnic group in these places, and those girls could be placed with them. So, you know, it's a very worrying situation, but as you say, the Nigerian government now getting critical advice from the U.S. in the hopes of bringing these girls back. Jay?
And Aisha, you just spoke with somebody who met with some members of Boko Haram. What were his impressions?
You know, it was incredible to me to speak to this man, Shehu Sani, a civil rights activist here in Nigeria who has met with Boko Haram on 2 separate occasions. One of the things that I found most incredible, that members of Boko Haram that he met are educated. He said they have 1st and 2nd degrees in the sciences. These are people that went to school and speak articulately. Abu Bakr Shekau himself, he goes on to say, is a man who too is educated, who went to school. So, you know, it's incredible to me that this same group is waging a war against Western education, a group that obviously has benefited from it a great deal, Jake.
Aisha Sise, thank you so much. Fascinating. So, if U.S. officials believe these missing Nigerian schoolgirls have been split up, do they also have an idea of where they're being held? Rear Admiral John Kirby is the Pentagon press secretary. He joins me now. Admiral, good to see you as always. So about this intelligence that shows the girls may have been split up, is there anything more you can tell us about that and how U.S. officials may have come to that conclusion?
Well, look, it's a multi-pronged effort here to try to figure out where they are. And that's obviously the question everybody wants to be able to answer. We do think, and I'm loath to get into some of the details on how we think this, but we do think that they've been broken up into smaller groups. But I'll say we also don't know where they are. It's very difficult to know exactly where they are at any given moment. And that's frankly one of the reasons why we're sending some additional planners and advisors down to Abuja right now. These are folks that can maybe help the Nigerians with some of their intelligence collection efforts.
I would think one of the things that might help with intelligence collection, as I recall in the days after 9/11, a bunch of U.S. advisors, shall we say, parachuting into Afghanistan, figuratively, with bags of money to try to find out information. Would it be presumptuous of me to assume that some of that is going on as well?
Yeah, Jake, I think that would be presumptuous for you to assume. Right now, this is a very small team of advisors. They're going to be working out of the embassy with the 10 or 11 or so other U.S. military personnel that were already down there at the embassy. I mean, one thing I think is important for people to know is we've been working with the Nigerian military now for a couple of years to help them get at this very significant threat from Boko Haram and terrorist groups like Boko Haram. So our coordination and collaboration with the Nigerian military is something that we've been doing for a while. We expect this will continue. Obviously, this is a very specific, very tragic incident we're all trying to get our hands around, but this is a military that we are starting to try to build a better relationship with.
What exactly is the U.S. offering here? Do we have drones? What specific kind of advice do we have? Do we have intelligence? What can we give the Nigerian government?
At this point, what we're trying to do is assess those exact requirements. So the team that's going down there, this extra 7 group of folks, these are subject matter experts in intelligence, logistics, communications, even hostage operations. They're going to go down there and they're just going to look at sort of do what we call a gap analysis. See what is the need, what is the requirement, and then we'll move on from there. So right now we're really in the assess mode and basic advice mode.
Is there no chance that there will be any sort of U.S. military operation? Has that been completely taken off the table?
Right now, there are no plans for a U.S. military operation right now. You have to remember that Nigeria has armed forces that we have helped train in counterterrorism now for the last couple of years. And so I think what we'd like to do is urge them to use all their resources to help go and try to find these girls. And our advice is going to, our involvement right now is going to be restrained to advice and guidance.
Of course, no plans doesn't mean it's off the table, but I take your point. Politicians here in the U.S. have been expressing frustration over how long it has taken Nigerian officials to accept the U.S. offers for help, which came fairly immediately. Could this reluctance have cost them the best chance of finding these girls?
Look, in any hostage situation, Jake, time is of the essence, and there was time that unfortunately we lost. We had been making offers of assistance, for some time before yesterday's acceptance. But look, I mean, that's the past is past. We have to deal with what we've got right now. Right now, we've got these guys going down there. We're going to do all we can to try to help them. The president has made that clear that he wants us to do that. And the other thing I'd say is it's not just about the military. We're going down there as part of an interdisciplinary team across state, FBI, other law enforcement, and we're not the only ones trying to help here. This is the whole U.S. government is really trying to come to grips with this.
Admiral, obviously you can't speak for the president, but we just played some sound of him from last night talking about the search for these girls. He sounded almost wistful about the fact that while he has so much power, this is the strongest military in the world, he's the commander-in-chief, it's just not that simple to go in and save these girls. Other than our lack of information, what are some of the other complications?
Information is the big one, Jake, but it's also, look, I mean, this is tough terrain. It's a difficult topography to work in. It's easy to conceal people, particularly if you're breaking them up into small groups. And I mean, it's a hard environment all around. Not to mention these terrorists, Boko Haram, they know the ground and they know the territory, and frankly, they have nothing but ill design here. So we are racing against the clock. We're racing against geography.
Rear Admiral John Kirby, thank you so much for coming in. Thanks for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Coming up on the lead, Boko Haram has a history of violence, riots, targeted killings, dating back at least 5 years, but the U.S. decided to declare them a terrorist organization only in November, after Hillary Clinton left the State Department. Why the wait? And here's something I bet Vladimir Putin isn't used to, people defying him. We'll tell you why some pro-Russia groups are ignoring the Russian president.